Tigers are an apex predator. In fact, the largest cat of any cat species belonging to the genus Panthera. Reportedly, tigers have been known to take down prey about 4 to 5 times their size, typically through ambushing them and biting the throat. Having been the king of the jungle for quite some time, it has only been in recent years, maybe the last 100 or so, that they have been stripped of around 93% of the territory they used to cover. Naturally, after any dethronement, to say a king would be less than happy would be a mild understatement. I truly do pity the one whose path crosses with a usurped king. And so our story begins with poor little Isabel at exactly such a path. An alarm rang. Its digitized squealing pierced through the morning air of Isabel's room. It was untidy, but organized untidy. Each piece of paper on her child-sized desk was unorganized with purpose, which was to be expected at her age. The alarm rang again, and Isabel raised her weary arm high into the air, bringing it crashing down, a full exertion of her wrath on the puny digital alarm. Her thunderous blow this time echoed out of her door and into the upstairs hall of her home. Unfortunately for her, no one heard her display of might, as Isabel's parents were quite successful business people and occasional philanthropists. Only occasionally, however. Usually they spent their money on themselves. For example, a 5,000 square foot home beside a lake. They could afford good food, good tutors for Isabel, good clothes, and among other things, the opportunity to have Isabel enrolled in a good school. One of the best primary schools in the country, as a matter of fact. Although at the price of rarely being home. Shuffling out of her delicate and warm bed, Isabel, eyes still half shut, made her way to the bathroom, where she brushed her teeth. Afterwards, she stumbled back into her room and opened the dresser. Eyes squinting, blinded by the wispy summer light trying so desperately to pierce through the blinds on her window, she reached her hand into that dark cabinet with the intent to pull out her favorite sweater. A gift from her mother before leaving for her 3rd tour of the Asias. Her hand landed on something soft. The sweater was sheep's wool, but this soft thing was a bit softer than that. Come to think of it, it was warmer. And louder. Much louder. Sheep wool sweaters don't make snarling noises, do they? Isabel forced her eyes open. Staring back at her amber irises with its own brilliant amber was a tiger. Isabel opened her mouth. Nothing more than a squeak managed to leave her constricted vocal cords. She fell onto the floor, still facing the dresser. The tiger growled, looking equally as confused. To make things worse for poor Isabel, the tiger felt the sudden urge to open its mouth to reveal the perfectly aligned set of white death lining its gums. The tiger's tongue curled, its whiskers bunched together. It almost looked cute for a moment, but Isabel was not daft. She had read about tigers. She knew how dangerous they were. She was face to face with the potential to be mauled to death. The tiger leaped off the platform in the dresser. It was just small enough to fit in there, but that didn't say much considering the size of the dresser. The tiger itself was quite large as far as tigers go, and even larger as far as cats do. Isabel, petrified in her fear, could do nothing but helplessly watch as the tiger stalked closer and closer towards her. 2 halves of her were engulfed in brutal civil war. Her brain in the north told her to run, but her body in the south kept her anchored to the floor like a statuette. The tiger's eyes slowly inched closer and closer towards her until they were only centimeters apart from her face. "Hey, kid, you got anything to eat?" purred the tiger. "You know, besides yourself." The kitchen was up to date, furnished and retrofitted with all sorts of different gadgets and contraptions, a stove here, a refrigerator there, and of course a tiger in the middle of the kitchen, eating a slab of meat that Isabel fetched from the pantry. She sat on a high chair, looking equally bewildered and fascinated. "So, you're a talking tiger?" Isabel asked. "How old are you, girl?" The tiger asked, not lifting its beautiful head from the very raw meal in front of it. "I'm 10, Isabel replied. "Yes, girl, I am in fact a talking tiger," said the tiger. For a moment nothing was said between the two, until Isabel mustered up the courage to ask another question. "So, do you have a name?" The tiger slurped up the last traces of meat on the floor, leaving a puddle of blood on the pristine porcelain. "My name is Bogsu. Pleased to meet you," said the tiger. "My name is Isabel," said Isabel. "Charmed, I'm sure." Sorry about the blood on the floor. I'd offer to clean it, but I haven't any opposable thumbs. Isabel giggled. Her cheeks tightened on her freckled face. After darting a glance at the clock, however, her expression dropped. She was going to be late for school. Almost as if forgetting about Bogsu downstairs, she ran as fast as her little legs could carry her up 2 flights of stairs, back to her room, where she got into her school uniform, crammed some papers into a bag by her door, and ran back down. In a flurry of fickle flight, she sprinted to her door and slipped into her shoes. Her parents wouldn't be home for another week, the butler was on vacation today, so she figured leaving Bogsu alone wouldn't be the worst thing that could happen to her. Missing school, however, was. She had a class with Mr. Jaeger today. Isabel didn't very much like Mr. Jaeger. He often made comments she found uncomfortable, then later said they were just jokes. He kept her after class one day because he said he wanted to go over one of her tests. He offered to braid her hair instead. He sometimes got a bit too close, among other things. And as the narrator of this story, I think it's time I used my judgment to move us along, so as not to dwell on things that Isabel doesn't want people or animals to know about yet. She opened the tall double door to the manor, letting fresh air and light into the home. It was warm out, but not too warm. The school was about a 15-minute walk away from her house too, just along the lake path and beside the forest. Don't cause any trouble. I have many questions to ask you when I get home, said Isabel. Then she closed the door, locked it with a key that she put under the rug, and turned around to see the tiger. Why don't I come with you? Said Bogsu the tiger. Are you joking? I can't bring a tiger to school, Isabel laughed. Oh, come on, you'll make all the kids jealous, the tiger chuckled. This thought had, of course, already previously gone through Isabel's mind, but a talking tiger was just a bit too far out there to explain to her teachers and classmates. No one can see me but you, said the tiger. As Isabel would later find out, not only was arguing with the talking tiger impossible, but Bogsu was in fact not visible to any eyes but hers. And so, a Mrs. Blind gave a lecture on the Brothers Grimm and Little Red Riding Hood, and Isabel, who sat at her desk taking notes, also had a very warm and soft leg rest. When she had class with Mr. Jaeger, however, her happiness sank and she felt her typical pitted stomach feeling. His mere look in her direction made her seize up in a cold sweat. He told her during work period that she would need to see him after school, and she nodded. That lunch period, instead of going to the art room, Isabel instead sat on the school field. Vast and open, the field sat a few minutes away from the brick school. It had several wings and state-of-the-art facilities, even a swimming pool. The field was usually used for sports and track and field, but today it wasn't in use, so Isabel could enjoy each and every blade of green grass to herself. Don't you ever feel bad about killing things to eat? Isabel asked. Of course not, the tiger chuckled. I'm a king and a hunter. Kings can kill whatever they want. That's the natural order of things. But do you ever feel bad about it? You know, after, prodded Isabel, giving a half of her peanut butter jelly sandwich to the tiger wrapped around her. Bogsu paused. For a while, maybe I did. I don't know what I was upset with. Maybe the way things were. Nature, that is. Maybe I felt like a monster. I felt so much pent-up rage at my circumstance, but rage at what, I still don't know. Maybe I just wanted a place to put all my rage. To give it some reason to exist, so I didn't have to accept I was just an angry tiger. Am I making sense, girl? I felt the hunger of that rage towards injustice for nothing but hunger's sake, so I hunted things to distract myself from the fact that it's in my nature to kill for food. Now I just enjoy it, said the tiger, pensively. And you don't see the irony in that? Asked Isabel. Trust me, girl, I'm well aware. Isabel pulled at the grass in front of her crossed legs, trying to find something to do with her hands. Her tone noticeably shifted, and, as if almost embarrassed, she asked, Can you tell me about your anger? Your rage for nothing but hunger's sake? What of it? Purred the tiger. Are you still angry? Asked Isabel. The tiger gave another dry chuckle. I'm not sure. I could be. Rage is a noose on your heart. If it's there long enough, you become numb to it. The danger isn't that you lose track of where it is. It's that you don't care where it is. Whatever I feel, I do know that if anyone has spent enough time in that noose, it would be nice to finally have it let go, dead or alive. Of course, in saying that, I'm implying that it's rage that lets go of you, not you that lets go of it. At any rate, I'm unprepared for this question. You seem curious. Is something causing you to feel that way, girl? Do you have something that needs to let go of you? The tiger's eyes shimmered, and poor little Isabel, only 10 years old, leaned over to Bogsu's ear and whispered something that made the tiger snarl and roar with disgust. Tigers are an apex predator. In fact, the largest cat of any cat species belonging to the genus Panthera. Reportedly, tigers have been known to take down prey about 4 to 5 times their size, typically through ambushing them and biting the throat. Having been the king of the jungle for quite some time, it has only been in recent years, maybe the last 100 or so, that they have been stripped of around 93% of the territory they used to cover. An act of dethronement, if you will. Naturally, after any dethronement, to say a king would be less than happy would be a mild understatement. Thoughts of rage, boiling blood, vicious thoughts of malcontent and vengeance. I truly do pity the one whose path crosses with a usurped king.